Who is the next Puka Nacua? This guy right here might just be. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Tried to warn people about the rise of Hampton, the rise of Hendy, Krosky Merritt. Yesterday, we talked about the rise of Harvey, soon to be rise of Harvey. You can still get Harvey at a discount. You can still get Harvey where we used to get Hampton, where we used to get Hendy. Krosky Merritt screaming from the rooftops all offseason. Now he's going as high as 7 and 8 round territory in underdog drafts. Emeka Egbuka is next. Mark my words, this absolute monster is going to be a potential top 12 wide receiver as a rookie. This man will be so good this year. Even if he maybe finishes like 15, but dances in and out of the top 10 to 12, top 7 to 12 all year long. We're going to be extrapolating data in 2026 offseason going, if you take the last 10 games of Emeka Egbuka and extrapolate it over the course of an entire season, he'd play like wide receiver 9 or 11 or whatever. But I do believe he can actually be total points weeks 1 through 17, even with a slow start or a rookie wall or anything, he could be top 12. This is how good he is. He's been playing with the best wide receivers that you could find all through college. Jeremiah Smith, his wide receiver room in college was better than his current Tampa Bay Buccaneer wide receiver room. And if you don't know much about Emeka Egbuka, you might be going, now that sounds like a bunch of nonsense, Smitty. No, Jeremiah Smith may be the best wide receiver prospect to ever come out of college, and he can't come out next year. It'll be the next year. Jeremiah Smith, he played with him, played with MHJ, played with Garrett Wilson, played with Chris Olave. Oh, and JSN as well. This guy's played with all of the great wide receivers in the same wide receiver room, being a rover, moving around at different positions, learning every one of the positions. And his kick return style of play is that style of play that can take the ball to the house at any moment. He's always looking for the next available plane and space on the field. He doesn't grab it and try and get as far as he can and get tackled or go down. He's calculating, he's surveying the field, and Emeka Egbuka says, how do I get in the end zone? You know, Hendy's becoming, I think what people are starting to realize at least, that he's becoming an end zone threat. I mean, he scores on the kick return, he scores on a touchdown that was a remarkable run. He has a nose for the end zone, he's a weapon. This guy's very similar. Emeka Egbuka is a weapon. He's a weapon that's going to strike at any moment on the field. He's got hands, he has a good jump ball capability. In the touchdown in the preseason game that he grabbed, it was an unbelievable route and trickery where the defensive back wasn't made aware that the ball was in the air because Emeka Egbuka is so smart. He's so versed in every part of the game. He's like a veteran. He's like a 5 to 7 year veteran out on the field, even in the pros. He's ready for everything. And the defender had no idea what was going on. And Egbuka let the ball get to a certain point, got down, made his body go limp so he could get underneath the defender, and he catches the ball in the corner of the end zone, gets an elbow in. He knows everything. He knows how to play this game as good as players that have been doing it for years and years and years. And this wide receiver room is older. Evans is getting older. Godwin's always hurt and getting older. Jalen McMillan's good, but he's not Emeka Egbuka. There is a world where by mid-season, he's the best producing wide receiver. Not, the end of the year, he becomes that, and then we draft him as the number 1 wide receiver in 2026. No, in mid-season on, he might be outscoring Evans. He might be outscoring Godwin. Again, 2 older players that might struggle with injuries. In fact, I can envision, and I said this last year about Jalen McMillan, I can envision a game or 2, or maybe even a string of 4 games where he's the number 1 wide receiver and his entire wide receiver room is banged up. I can easily envision that. Now, let's get rid of these other guys. Again, I love all of them. They're all very similar in that Krosky Merritt, Hendy, Hampton, Harvey. Harvey's on the way, though. They're all very similar in that they were bargains, or Harvey still is, but they're going to fly off the board sooner with just a little bit of buzz. I believe you're already seeing a climb where Emeka Egbuka in best ball drafts is going like round 6. In Aunt Edna grandma leagues, you're seeing something around round 6 to 8 because people, they don't know quite as much about fantasy football in grandma leagues and magazine drafter leagues where you just have people catching up right now. They're kind of getting versed in football. They don't have the history or the story behind Emeka Egbuka. They think crowded wide receiver room. They don't even know what to think, to be honest. It's going to be a scenario where a guy like Emeka Egbuka, who's a rookie and an unknown to so many people, they're just going to avoid him. They're not going to have the information that you and I have. So you're going to be able to steal him away in non-best ball grandma leagues, in very easy leagues, magazine drafter leagues, 10-man leagues, he'll go even further. But in even shark-infested waters, he's still sometimes going around 6, and he kind of deserves to be going higher. Now, one player that I don't condone taking in the 3-4 turn area, and I just can't believe he continues on underdog anyway to go in this territory, and that is McMillan. McMillan goes in the 3-4 turn area on underdog. Promo code Smitty if you want to draft with us at midnight. We draft every single midnight practically every single week. So $10 minimum. The link's in the live chat, or the link's in the description of the video rather. Hit that link. It'll insert code Smitty for you, and you can join a draft with us at any time. Again, we draft at midnight almost every single night, midnight Eastern. And I'm seeing McMillan go in round number 3-4, which is crazy. You know, this guy I like a lot, and I hate that I got to cut him down to size when people put him in the 3-4 value territory. In a non-best ball ESPN draft, he's going probably in like 6 to 7, and that's acceptable. But I'm drafting McMillan after I'm drafting Egbuka. So you can imagine that Egbuka, I want to get where at least McMillan's going, not any higher, if the ADP is suggesting that McMillan's the better pick, even though he's not in my mind. But Emeka Egbuka going in 6 to 7 in a grandma league is a home run. I'm not even drafting Emeka Egbuka with all the hype that I'm telling you about right now. How high I am on Emeka Egbuka. I'm not even drafting him in the 3-4 territory. If I'm not taking Egbuka in the 3-4 territory, then why would I take a guy that I rank lower in McMillan? And there's no shade to McMillan. But if I rank him higher, and I wouldn't even come close to taking him in 3-4, why is Tech going in 3-4 on underdog? At the end of the day, if I had to give you a number, if I had to give you an idea of where my expectations are for Egbuka in 2024, I'm going to say he's an ideal wide receiver 3-4. Depending on your build. If you go, let's say, RB, and then you draft maybe wide receiver, RB again, and then you might even grab a QB, and then you grab a RB again, or maybe tight end or whatever. Or even if this was your wide receiver 2, so you got one wide receiver here, one wide receiver here, and then you draft that wide receiver next. That's round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So your 7th drafted player being your wide receiver 3, very acceptable. Now, I would say, obviously, the later you get him, the more bang for the buck that you're getting, but that's home run material. Now, if you went, let's say, no quarterback here and you went late quarterback, then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you get him as your wide receiver 4. And that's huge. As long as you land your quarterback, you're going to have a really deep team. Or, you know, he makes one of the best plays if you're grabbing Egbuka as your wide receiver 4, but he becomes your wide receiver 3 while you're waiting on Rashee Rice. If he does end up settling with the league right now, Rice is expected as of this moment right now on August 19th. He's expected to play weeks 1 through 4, have a hearing right after week 4, and then his fate will be decided. But if he comes to an agreement with the NFL prior to that, then he'll probably get faced with a suspension at the beginning of the year. And if that's the case, then Egbuka would be a fine wide receiver 4 turning into your wide receiver 3 while Rice is out. Or even if Rice plays weeks 1 through 4, Egbuka is going to be firing on all cylinders. You're probably trying to get him in your lineup at some point. You know, if he keeps doing it in week 5, you wanted to start him anyway. And then he goes on a suspension after 4 games played, then Egbuka goes right into your lineup as your wide receiver 3. If I had to give you a projection for Egbuka his rookie year, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give him 1,100 yards receiving. That might be a high number for people as a rookie, but this guy has all the tools he needs. I'm going to give him 10 touchdowns. I'm going to give him 85 receptions. That's a big line. That's a big number. This is, you don't draft him at this value, but this is a very high-end wide receiver too. This is so good that in 2026, we're drafting him maybe quite arguably round number 2 or 3. We're talking about where we're taking JSN right now, where we're taking players that might Lad McConkey. Lad McConkey and Egbuka are probably the same value this time next year, the way that you value Lad right now. So 2 or 3. Emeka Egbuka, you are Smitty approved. You are one of my biggest breakout wide receivers. As a rookie in 2025, you're a superstar. He reminds me, when you watch him, I'm not saying he's Malik Neighbors, but the way he plays, the fluidity, how smooth he is. He's a smooth operator. He plays a lot like Malik Neighbors. Watch him for 5 minutes, and you will agree with me that there's no smoother operator on the field than Emeka Egbuka when he's on the field. This guy will win leagues for people as your wide receiver 3-4, and he's a dynasty gem.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Don't forget to get on over to my thefantasyfootballshow.com for all my rankings, bold predictions, trade calculators, and then don't forget to get on over to the Patreon, my year-round 24/7, 365 live chat group. That link is in the description. The link to my thefantasyfootballshow.com is in the description. And the Underdog link, so you can draft with us at midnight. Again, it's only a $10 minimum, and they'll match your first deposit 50% all the way up to $1,000, but it's only a $10 minimum. That means they'll give you 5 if you drop the minimum 10, or if you do 100, they'll give you 50, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to draft with us at midnight, sign up now, be ready so that when we go live, you'll just await the instructions and you'll be able to get right into the draft. I'll see you all at 8 p.m. Eastern. Why? Because I'm live every single Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm live additionally whenever big news breaks. And I'm additionally live almost every single night, midnight Eastern, as I said, drafting with all of you. See you later. Appreciate you.